Okay, Mr. Croham, we're ready to go.
The Williamson County Board of Zoning Appeals will now be called to order. The roll call, David Osbrook, absent. Sharon McKee, absent. Sue Workman,
Present.
Here.
Don Crohan, present. The health of Williamson County citizens is a primary concern of Williamson County government. In accordance with the recommendation of the CDC to help prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus, in accordance with the executive order number 16 issued by Governor Lee on March 20th, 2020, authorizing public meetings to be conducted electronically. Therefore, the August 27th meeting of the Williamson County Board of Zoning Appeals will be held electronically. And we will need a motion to accept the meeting being handled electronically.
I move
So
that
moved.
the motion. Go ahead.
Andrew, we have a motion. We have a
Yes.
second.
Second.
Sue, second. Okay. In favor of the motion, Andrew, Commissioner Ring,
Aye.
Commissioner Workman,
Aye.
and Commissioner Crowe, and aye. Motion carries. The Board of Zoning Appeals is made up of 5 citizens nominated by the board, nominated as board members by the county mayor. 1 member must be a county commissioner, may be a county commissioner, 1 member must be a planning commissioner, and the remaining members are not otherwise connected with county government. The procedures for the meeting will be as follows. The items will be called and the people representing the items will identify themselves. Staff will read their report and explain the request. 3, the applicant will discuss the request with the board. And 4, the chairman will open for a public hearing. The board will hear anything from anyone relevant to the request at hand. However, the board will not view or hear anything that does not directly have bearing on the item being heard. It is requested that all comments be addressed to the board. When the public comments are completed, the chairman will close the public hearing. There is a procedure for appeal if the item is denied. After the board has denied the request, the appropriate procedure for the appeal will be appear before the Board of Zoning Appeals, must wait 1 year from the date of decision. Make application to the County Planning Commission for changes in the ordinance, and this must be approved by the County Commission. And number 3, you may apply to the Chancery Court to reverse the Board of Zoning Appeals decision. Minutes of July 23rd, 2020. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
Yes.
Do we have a motion to accept as
I
written?
I move to accept the minutes as written.
Thank you. Do we have a second? I'll second the motion. On the motion to accept the minutes, Commissioner Ring,
Aye.
Commissioner Workman,
I was not present at that meeting.
okay, Commissioner Crowe, and aye. Thank you.
Mr. Crohan, is Ms. Emerson McPeak still on the meeting?
I haven't heard her.
She was on at one time. Maybe she didn't call for the roll call. Ms. Emerson McPeak, are you there? Okay, she may have had difficulty with her computer then. Proceed.
Okay. The first item tonight, item one, I understand is there's a deferral on this one.
Yes, Mr. Croham, we had an issue with the public notice to one of the adjacent property owners. And they did not have enough time when they got the notice that they felt they had the proper time to go out and take a look at the property. And they actually sent an email in today requesting that the item be deferred. I've talked with Christy about this, and she feels like under the situation, the best thing for us to do would be to defer the item until next month to make sure that we have adequate public notice for all adjacent property owners.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion to defer item one till next meeting?
Make a motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Ray,
Aye.
Commissioner Workman,
Aye.
Mr. Crohan, aye. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, the second item we have, let's see, which I misplaced. There it is. Okay. The second item this evening, a request by Tim Turner of T Square Engineering Incorporated for a special use approval of a rural retreat extensive use on 40.05 acres located at 2030 Cedarmont Drive. The property is zoned MGA and is located in the 12th voting district. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting approval of a rural retreat extensive use. Property in question is zoned Municipal Growth Area 1, and this use is considered a special use within the MGA 1 zoning district. The use must be reviewed by this body at a public meeting and conduct a public hearing. Parcel in question is located on Cedarmont Drive, and the use will take primary access from said road. The Cedarmont Farms subdivision borders the property on the north, south, and east. Property in question is not part of the Cedarmont Farms development. Properties to the west range in size from approximately 5 acres to approximately 8 acres. All adjoining properties are used primarily for residential or agricultural purposes. The existing house, the smokehouse, and cemetery, which is located in the southeast corner of the site, is on the National Register of Historic Places. Staff has reviewed Section 13.08 Historic and Cultural Resource Protection Standards and has determined the application meets these standards. As the proposed use is located within the City of Franklin's urban growth boundary, a copy of the site plan was sent to the city. At the time of this writing, no comments were received from the city. According to the site plan and the applicant's letter of intent, the applicant is proposing to utilize an existing 3,636 square foot building as an event venue, which contains an area for receptions, a loft for bridal prep, and a small area for caterers. There will be no preparation of food on site. Wastewater will be handled via an on-site septic system, and the Williamson County Department of Sewage Disposal Management has reviewed and approved the request. Mill Crofton Utility District provides water to the property. County's Highway Department has visited the site and indicated that site distance on Cedarmont Drive is adequate for the proposed use. A noise abatement plan has been submitted. A landscaping plan has been submitted and approved. Traffic impact analysis was performed by the applicant and reviewed by the county's traffic consultant. The county's traffic consultant has recommended approval from a traffic standpoint contingent upon the following. Number one, limit the number of guests to 185 unless the applicant provides temporary traffic control in the form of a traffic control officer to facilitate traffic operations. Number two, the northern site access should be designed and constructed to include one inbound lane and one shared outbound lane for left and right turn movements operation under stop condition. Number three, The southern access should be designed and constructed to include one inbound lane and one shared outbound lane for left turn and right turn movements operating under a stop condition. And number 4, for events, directional signs, including do not enter signs where appropriate, should be provided to clearly indicate directions of travel for the one-way travel plan for the entrances. Section 5.01 of the zoning ordinance outlines the board's responsibilities while reviewing special uses, and subsection E outlines the review standards that should be considered when evaluating special uses. During its deliberations, the board will need to make a finding as to whether the proposed rural retreat meets the requirements of section 5.01E of the zoning ordinance. With regards to the site plan, ordinance standards have been met, including the specific requirements associated with a rural retreat extensive use. On July 22nd, 2020, the Williamson County Stormwater Appeals Board approved a waiver to allow the southern access drive, which is existing, to encroach into the waterway natural area with the condition that no parking signs be placed within the limits of the WNA during events, which is noted on the site plan and has been added herein as a condition of approval. Site plan is in order. Staff can approve the site plan should this body find the application meets the requirements of number 1, section 5.01E, and number 2, section 11.03D5 of the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of the special use with the following stipulations. Number 1, within the waterway natural area, no parking sign shall be present during all events. Number 2, limit the number of guests to 185 unless the applicant provides temporary traffic control in the form of a traffic control officer to facilitate traffic operations. Number 3, the northern site access should be designed and constructed to include one inbound lane and one shared outbound lane for left turn and right turn movements operating under stop condition. Number 4, the southern access should be designed and constructed to include one inbound lane and one shared outbound lane for left turn and right turn movements operating under a stop condition. Number 5, for events, directional signings, including do not enter signs where appropriate, should be provided to clearly indicate directions of travel for the one-way travel plan for the entrances. Number 6, execution of a stormwater maintenance agreement and submission of an operation and maintenance plan for stormwater improvements if such improvements are required. Number 7, submittal to and approval by the county engineer for both the stormwater calculations and the grading and drainage plan. Number 8, noise standards as described in section 11.03D5 of the zoning ordinance will be adhered to. And number 9, any future signage must be approved per ordinance requirement.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
Mr. Chairman, the applicant's representatives are present.
Okay, do you have anything you'd like to add? What Mr. Holmes has given us?
Yes, this is Blake Turner with T-Square Engineering. I'd like to just kind of clarify 2 of the comments that were in the stipulations from the staff recommendations. Those are items 3 and 4. The item 3 and 4 kind of make it sound as if the northern side access and the southern side access will be reconstructed to include 2 lanes, which was not the intent of the traffic impact study nor the intent of the site plan. Those are existing drives that will remain the same, and during events will operate under a one-way traffic flow with traffic entering from the northern access and exiting from the southern access. And all other times, the southern access will be gated and the northern access will operate as a private drive for the existing residences. I have got an email from Bob Murphy with the traffic consultant, and he has clarified that that was his intent. He sent that email out to Mike Madison and Aaron Holmes, and I just wanted to make sure that that was on the record, that those conditions basically were stating that those will remain the same and operate under a one-way.
Spectacular one.
Is that clear, Aaron? Is that clear enough, Aaron?
Yes, that's correct. Mr. Chairman, board members, when we as the staff evaluated the site plan, we understood what our traffic consultant was indicating, that there was going to be no construction and it would operate under a one-way during the times coming in and the times going out, and that there would be no new construction.
Thank you, Aaron.
Can you hear me? We lost everything here for a few minutes.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed what you said, but that's fine. We had a strike or something at us. Okay. Right now, we'll open this up for public hearing. Is there anybody that would like to come forth and speak on this item?
Am I allowed to speak on it, or do I wait till the end?
Mr. Chairman, that's Colleen Kelly, the applicant. She wishes to say something.
That's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of reassure our neighbors who are in here. This is kind of the same thing that we did last year when we were here. It's basically just my parents have had the property for 27 years. As my dad ages, we're realizing that we kind of need to do something to help with the upkeep financially and physically. So we kind of open the property to some events and things like that, and also make it more official because we've been doing community events, Easter egg hunts, different charity events, things like that already on the property. We did our 19 events last year. Didn't receive any noise complaints or anything like that. And executed all of those pretty efficiently and without disturbing our neighbors very, like at all, really. So this is kind of the same thing. It's just now we want to make it even more official so we can put in some permanent restrooms and then also not have to come back every single year. Just because the nature of weddings, they book a year out. So that's made, you know, just going the other way a little difficult. And but we're still not wanting to do many at all. We're still wanting to keep it around 20 events a year, really low impact with a limited guest count and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item?
Yeah, I would like to speak. If I could be recognized, please.
Who is this, please?
Hi, my name is Daniel Justice. I'm a resident at 4056 Trail Ridge Drive. My property backs up directly to the Cedarmont Farms property in question. I've been a resident here in Cedarmont Farms since 2001. You know, I guess my question would be, you know, the concern I have is we have a commercial business that is running in a residential neighborhood. While you know, I can understand what the applicant is trying to accomplish, but I can tell you this, you know, I cannot sit on my porch on a Saturday evening and enjoy my 1 acre of property because I hear music up until 11 o'clock or whatever at night. You know, it just seems that, you know, if I buy a piece of property that has an acre on it, I should be entitled to some, you know, privacy and peace of quiet. And I feel like we're turning, you know, that property into commercial enterprise, commercial business. And I guess my question to the board would be, while the applicant says, you know, they only want to do 20 events a year, is there anything that stops them from wanting to, you know, performing events in the week? Or is there anything, if I understand the rural retreat extensive designation, I believe it says you could have even lodging on the property as well. So I would just like to pose these questions back to the board. You know, what is the philosophy here of operating commercial businesses in a residential neighborhood? And are there, you know, is there, I guess, freedom from the applicant to run, you know, commercial activities 7 days a week if they so deem so? And is that, you know, allowable under the designation that's being requested? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll go through the public hearing and then we'll try to address the questions. Is there anyone else that has anything they'd like to bring up or talk about on this subject?
Mr. Crohan, this is John Bledsoe. I'm sorry I got kicked out of the meeting, but I did have received 2 letters from the public. I would like to read them for matter of public record at this time, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
The first is from John and Kathy Meadows at 2022 Cedarmont Drive. It says, They live 2 doors down from the Kelly property. This email is to voice our support for the special use approval of the Rural Retreat Extensive Use located at 2030 Cedarmont Drive. Kathy and I have been the Kelly's neighbors for 18 years. We attended the zoning meeting last year in support for them to have weddings on the property and continue to support them on their ongoing use basis. The second one is from Jay Stevenson, 1997 Cedarmont Drive. And he says, I understand that there is an upcoming meeting to discuss the possibility of granting the Cedarmont Farm property with approval for rural retreat approval. And I'd like to share a few thoughts about the significance of the property. In 1983, my parents built one of the very first houses on Warren Road with the Cedarmont Farms neighborhood, where they still reside to this day. Their acreage backs up directly to Cedarmont Farms estate. My family is from Franklin originally, and we have seen the city changing dramatically over the course of our lives. I have been fortunate enough to call Franklin home as well for the last 30 years, living in Cedarmont Farms for most of that time. In fact, the original Cedarmont property is one of the most beneficial estates in this, or most beautiful, I'm sorry, beautiful estates in this county, in my opinion. And the family takes great pride in not only being part of the Cedarmont neighborhood, but of Williamson County. If there's an opportunity to preserve this estate with all of its historical significance and natural beauty to serve the greater good of the community through family-oriented events, we should do that when we can to save the place like this with all of its charm for future generations. I'm thinking about my daughter who may one day live in this area, and just like I decided to do as an adult. My comments may not be worth all that much, not knowing you personally, but I did want to take an opportunity to share why I think it's important to preserve what I believe to be a special place in this community. This country has seen county has seen a growth explosion recently. And while I understand some of those, I also, like many others, recognize the detriment it has caused to this community as well. Unfortunately, I've sat through Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings where members of the boards openly mocked concerned citizens who took the time to show up and voice genuine concern about the well-being of their communities. It's disgraceful. If we don't take care of these types of places through sensible and sustainable solutions, there won't be any left, and we will have sold out our heritage for cookie cutter apartment complexes. Hopefully this sentiment will be taken into consideration by those who have the authority to make a decision regarding the Cedarmont Farms property.
Thank you, John. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to bring up at the public hearing today?
Yes, I'm John Jennings, and I'd like to bring up some acoustical measurements that we made at the property.
Yes, sir.
Sir, if you will give us your address, please.
Sorry, what's that?
If you will provide your address to us, please.
Sure, 807 Montrose Avenue. That's Nashville, Tennessee.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I did some acoustical measurements there with the dB meter, and let me just run those by you very quickly, because this really does have some impact on how you hear things around the property. The closest neighbor's property line is at 245 feet north of the venue. And at that point, the measurement with sound going on in the venue was 30 decibels, which is essentially, that's ambient noise created by crickets and wind and the creek that's there and so forth. So the ambient noise was significantly above anything you'd heard from the venue. Moving behind the venue, which faces east, I measured 35 decibels at the property line, which again is ambient noise. From in front of the venue, which faces west, at the property line, we were looking at 32 dB. This is basically silence. The south facing side, which is the side that faces toward the house and the street that I believe, who is it? Mr. Justice lives on. At 50 feet from the venue, we measured 70 dB. But when we got back to the property line, which is 903 feet from the venue, we measured, again, practically nothing. There was no discernible sound of the venue whatsoever. And the ambient noise we measured was 40 dB at that point, but there was just no sound from the venue whatsoever at that point. So it seems like at the property line, because this is so centered in the middle of the property, we're not having any carry of the sound.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Is there anyone else that has any comments they'd like to make at this time? No further comments. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. Before we go to the commission to deliberate, Mr. Holmes, would you like to mention something about the noise standards and as far as any changes that'll be made as far as increasing the size of the business and that?
So the noise standards, Mr. Chairman, and Ms. Ransom, if you'll correct me if I'm wrong, are measured at the property line. So long as it meets the requirements, I'm looking through the ordinance now for the precise section that it meets the requirements of. As for the expansion of the business to include lodging, that is not part of this approval. And if Ms. Kelly wishes to do that, she would have to amend the site plan in order to do that, which would also go through the Department of Sewage Disposal Management. And at this point, the Department of Sewage Disposal Management has indicated there's no lodging on the property permitted. So at this point, Ms. Kelly could not do that. And additionally, the use of the property 7 days a week for the rural retreat, that is what this application is for. If Ms. Kelly wishes to do that, the approval would allow her to do that.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll turn it over to the commissioners. Are there any comments that you'd like to make, discussion at this time?
Mr. Crohan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Karen.
Okay, I've been on, but I couldn't, for some reason, get my voice going.
Okay, well, thank you. Do
So,
you have any comments you'd like to make?
well, I don't understand if she wants to have, but we're not talking about her having a overnight guest there, correct?
That is
That's
correct.
correct.
Ms. That's correct.
I do have a comment about the hours. I did see where everybody should be over at 11. Is that correct? And I'm assuming we mean that everybody should be off the property by 11.
So there is not, Ms. McPhee, there's not a time frame except for the music, where the music is taking place, the time frame for that. So if the music goes between the hours of 9 p.m. and 9 a.m., it must be enclosed inside a building.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else have any comments they'd like to make? Any questions they have? I have a couple questions. This is Don Crohan.
There you go.
A minor thing, the distance from the parking area to the event barn, how far is that?
Mr. Crohan, I'm going to turn that over to Blake Turner or Eric Jarvis, who should be able to answer that question for us.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I do not have an exact distance from the parking area to the event barn, but it is approximately 200 feet.
Okay. Thank you. The other question I had was on controlling the number of guests that you have coming in there. And it says a limited number of the guests of 185. The architectural says on this thing that the building will hold 183.
Colleen?
Yeah, The most recent letter of intent I'm looking at says 183. That was honestly a mistake just on my part, just thinking 183 and then rounding up and then, so I'm not sure. I think I have the most recent letter of intent and we've changed that to 183.
But it also states in here that the limit the number of guests to 185 unless the applicant provides temporary traffic control in the form of offices. Are you saying in this respect that you're going at some point to have more than 183 that the building would hold?
No, that was a septic department asked us to edit that to clarify that. So no, we don't intend on doing any events over 183, but that was the note. And I mean, Eric, if you feel like you need to expound on that more, but that was a note that septic had us put in there.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Kelly is correct. The septic system is limited to accommodate 183 guests, and that's where the number came from. So Ms. Kelly will not be able to exceed that number without expansion of an approval from the Department of Sewage Disposal Management and an amended site plan.
Okay, so then the item number 1 on here will have to be amended.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have. Anybody else? Any questions? Any commissioners?
No questions from here.
None.
We have a motion?
Michael Kelly, can I speak?
Who are you, sir?
I'm Michael Kelly. I'm the property owner. I'm Colleen's dad.
Yes. Go ahead.
I just want to, I'm very grateful for all the effort that's been put into hopefully getting this approved, because it makes me know that when I'm not here any longer, the property will not be able to be developed, and my children will run the property the way it's been run for the past 30 years. We have never had a noise complaint or any form of complaint whatsoever from any source that I was ever aware of or any member of my family was aware of. And we certainly intend to continue that way of living and that way of handling our model. So I just want to assure anyone who may have that feeling that, yes, this all sounds great, but what's it going to look like? Or well, how is that going to affect me in the future? We are very, very concerned with trying to accomplish 2 things. One, we've heard a lot about, and the second one is to make sure that we maintain the type of relationship that we've had for 30 years. So I just appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Okay. And Mr. Kelly, you don't have any problem with what the write-up is or would be required of you with it if we went ahead with this?
I have no problems whatsoever.
Thank you.
Mr. Crohan?
Yes, sir.
Brian, also, if you will direct your question to Ms. Kelly, as she'll be operating the business.
Right now, we've gone through the public hearing, we've gone through everything else. Now we just need to go to the staff, I'm sorry, we'll go to the commissioners if they have any questions.
No questions from here. I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready.
Commissioner Ray?
Yes, I move that we approve the rural retreat extensive use in accordance with section 5.01E and section 11.03D5 of the zoning ordinance with the staff listed stipulations with the correction that the number of guests should be limited to 183, and the clarification that construction of the entry and the access sites is not required as long as one-way traffic is maintained.
I second.
Here we have a motion and a second. Call the roll. Commissioner Ring,
Aye.
Commissioner Workman,
Aye.
Commissioner McPeak,
Aye.
Commissioner Crowan, aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Is there any further business before us at this time? We have a motion to adjourn.
So
Make a
moved.
motion.
Thank you. Have a safe trip home and thank you for the meeting.
Now that we're
Commissioner.
adjourned, I've got one question though. When are we going to be able to go back to these in person?
So the electronic authority was extended by the governor through the end of September, and he tends to wait until toward the end of each month to make a decision whether he's going to extend it again. So when we get toward the end of September, we'll find out whether we're going to be electronic in October or not.
Right now, we're going to be online in September. Thanks, Christie.
It has been extended to September so far.
All right, good to see everybody. Can't wait to see you in person again someday.
Thank you all for bearing with us. Appreciate your help.
Thank you.
Good night.